Mortal Kombat 2021 is directed by Simon McQuad and stars Louis Tan, Jessica McNamee, Josh Lawson, Joe Taslin, Hiroyuki Sanada, and a bunch of others. And it tells the story of a young MMA fighter named Cole Young who seeks out to Earth's great champions in order to stand against the enemies of Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe known as Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 2021, guys. I don't know about you, but I have a very fond place in my heart for the original Mortal Kombat from 1995, I think it was. It was one of those video game adaptations, video game to movie adaptations that actually felt like it worked, where most of these things have been horrible, and yeah, the bar is not really that high. We keep waiting for them to knock it out of the park, and they haven't. But you ask most people who are fond of these video game adaptations, and they'll probably tell you Mortal Kombat is the best we've ever had, The soundtrack was awesome. It seemed to really, how should I say, you could tell the passion for the game was there. It didn't just feel like they were doing it for doing its sake. It seemed like they actually did consider the love that the fans had for these characters. And yes, it has cheesy dialogue, and yes, it has the clunky acting here and there, and yes, it's not the greatest movie ever made, but it had a hell of a soundtrack, and it had some fun characters and some fun moments. I think we all look back on it fondly. I did rewatch it, and yes, it's still very cheesy, but my favorite fight is still Reptile versus Liu Kang, and I still think it's a fun film. Fast forward, we're in 2021 and they dropped the trailer for this thing and it looks amazing. We're told we're getting a hard R. We're told they're not going to hold back any punches, that the game is going to be represented, fatalities and everything in full bloody gory detail. So did we get it? I would say yeah. I would say for the most part they did a damn good job with this. Yet funny enough, there's still that clunky, cheesy dialogue, there's still that acting, and there's still not all the fight scenes work as well as I would have hoped. So let me break it down. And I'll start with the stuff that I really liked, guys, and the strength of this movie, which is most definitely Scorpion versus Sub-Zero and that entire storyline. Just like the animated movie Scorpion's Revenge that we got recently, Scorpion's tale to me is the best story that Mortal Kombat has. Granted, I do not know all the origin and all the backstories for all the characters. I haven't followed the game in quite some time. But Scorpion's story is the kind of story you can build a movie on. And I feel like if they had made his story and just kind of take it all the way through and then kind of build Mortal Kombat around that, we could have had something really, really special. So the opening of this movie is definitely the strongest part of this film. They give you a really solid foundation, and it's a hard act to follow. But Hiroyuki Sanada, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, he is just perfect casting as Scorpion. I wish he had more screen time. I also love the actor who played Sub-Zero, Tim San. I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly, but I'll check it. They're both, I think they fed off each other so well. The fight choreography it just felt real, and yet it felt fantastical, the way Mortal Kombat fight sequence is supposed to feel. And then of course then we jump into the introduction of our main character, guy who doesn't exist in the video games yet, Cole Young. This actor, I know him from Into the Badlands, and he's the one who we're supposed to be following. He's our standing. He's what Johnny Cage originally was in the movie. So he's the one that they come to unite the heroes and save the world. I'll leave him for when I get into my negatives. I'm going to continue with the positives. Another positive aspect for me, I think the representation of the worlds, I think it looked good. We didn't get as much of it as I was hoping for, but I think it looked good. The special effects were strong, especially the Sub-Zero stuff. Sub-Zero versus Jax was something I also enjoyed a lot. the brutality of it, it just looks so cool. So I think the special effects look really good. The costume designs were decent. I wish there was more color in the costumes, just like in the games. I was a bit disappointed that nearly everybody's costumes looked more black than anything else. I wanted that color. I don't know why people run from color. Color could work. Color doesn't have to be hokey, guys. Color can work. And another thing for me with the acting, I felt like everybody, but for the most part, not everybody, but I felt like most of the actors definitely seemed invested in what they were doing. They weren't just riding it through. Another standout, surprisingly, was I think the actor's name is Josh Lawson as Keno. If you told me Keno was gonna be the one to pull a Drax in this movie, I would never have guessed it. And yet, he is the most charismatic person in this film. He had the theater I was in, a small group of people, but they were laughing their asses off, and I was among them. He was killing those one-liners, even the ones that didn't quite work. Somehow he managed to make them work. The guy was funny, the guy was fun, and you almost wanted Keno to be a good guy just to, have him all the way through. That's how much he stole every scene he was in. So huge props to that actor for taking what could have been a very one-dimensional role and building it into something much more. He was really memorable and a lot of fun. And another character I quite liked, Kung Lao. I liked his look a lot. We didn't get enough of him. Then this is the thing. We got some good stuff. I just felt like we just didn't get enough of that good stuff. But overall, I think most of the fight sequences were very well choreographed. Some of them were a bit dark to see in some places. Some of them, I think the editing, it was moving too fast and it was cut a bit too rough in some places. But overall, these fight sequences were definitely a step up from the original fights. You could tell some of these people have had extensive training, while you could also tell they brought in professionals to handle the more, crazy stuff. The fatalities looked good. It's CG, but not to give away anything, but Kung Lao anybody? Holy crap, And like I said, Sub-Zero vs. Jax was one that I quite enjoyed as well. There's a lot here to enjoy. The soundtrack was so. They do bring back the famous Mortal Kombat song in the end, but it didn't quite have the impact for me that it had the first time around. Story-wise, and I'm getting into negatives here, guys, is for me, first of all, Cole Young and his story. The character just didn't have it. He didn't have that special something that makes him stand out. The other characters to me were more interesting than Cole, and he's supposed to be the lead. He's supposed to be the hero. It was like Captain Marvel all over again for me, where I'm focusing on the rest of people who seem more energized and more charismatic than the guy who is supposed to be the lead, or the girl, whatever. But in this case, it's a guy. He has a great look about him. The guy's definitely fit, good looking, whatever. But his thing with his family and stuff, that was nowhere near as interesting as Scorpion's tale and Scorpion's journey of revenge. I wanted more of that. That would have been really cool. Mortal Kombat on the whole, I get that you have to do a lot of world building and you're trying to do a lot in one movie. But this is a movie that I feel, and there's a fan base here to build on. You can build a franchise out of this. So why not take your time? Take a couple characters. Build with those, give us the full Scorpion Sub-Zero thing. Have those people work around them, have the whole Mortal Kombat thing, but have it around them. And that is because that was your strongest story. That's your best story. Cole Young, I don't care. I honestly did not care about his character or anything he was going through at no point in time. The final battle that takes place between Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Cole Young, The battle was best when it was Scorpion and Sub-Zero. And there was this almost anticlimactic thing that happened when he got involved. So overall, I could keep breaking this down scene by scene, but I will say this, guys. This was a solid effort. This was a fun movie. They definitely tried to do something really good here, and they definitely thought of the fans while they were making this. There were little nods, little Easter eggs to the first movie as well as to the game. There was so much to be enjoyed here. And yes, Shang Tsung was nowhere near as awesome as he was in the original movie. I'm sorry, nobody can beat Carrie. What's his name? Sorry, Carrie. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm zoning out on his name, but you know what I'm talking about, and he's awesome. He was perfect as Shang Tsung. This guy just didn't have that, you know. I wish the villains were more developed. The only one who got much of a speaking part was Cabal, you know. Other than that, it would have been nice to see the villains be developed just as much as the heroes, you know. But listen, if you compare the two movies, if you take 95 and you take this one, they have a lot in common when it comes to the screenplay. They have a lot of the same issues, but they have a lot of the same strengths, you know, in the sense that the passion is there, the love is there. And I dig that. I dig that they're trying to do something fun, and they're trying to stay true to the game. They're trying to be true to the fans. And overall, I cannot say that I walked out of this movie feeling in any way disappointed. I pretty much got what I signed up for. So going forward, I hope they tighten things up a bit, and I hope they take more risk with the material. I hope that they take the time to develop some of these storylines that are in the game and are pretty good, you know. Bring it to the screen, you know. Trust that the audience will be into it. And I'm gonna give Mortal Kombat 2021 a 7 out of 10. You know, 6.5, 7 out of 10. I think I'll stick with 7. You know, I had fun with this movie. I'm not gonna pretend I didn't. It isn't the best still, you know. I'm still waiting for that video game adaptation that knocks me off, you know, my feet. I'm still waiting for that one video game adaptation that really sells it, that really nails it. I mean, we have The Last of Us coming, we have Borderlands coming, and we have a lot of talent behind those two things. So fingers crossed, because those are two of my absolute favorite games. So who knows? But for now, we got this, and it wasn't half bad. And that's going to be it for this one, guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you've seen this movie, let me know what you thought of it. Did it impress you? Do you still think the first one is better? Did you enjoy this one more? Let me know what you thought. And if you like this video, please feel free to hit that thumbs up. It's always appreciated. If you're new and you'd like to subscribe to my channel, you can click on my face when it pops up right about there. And you can check out past videos if you got the time. So until next one, guys. Bye-bye.